Good morning, everyone. If you've seen Fight Club, you will know that it's not a movie about a social revolution. Fight Club isn't a movie about changing the world, changing the way we look at what debt means. Fight Club really is a compilation of several themes that plague the modern world. But there's a specific aspect of it that I really want to delve into. And this concept has intrigued me for a long time. Just this one word. That word is identity. Identity is probably the one thing that influences your life the most on an intellectual basis. Not your trauma, not your knowledge, not your experiences, but your identity. Because what your identity does on a day-to-day basis is that it changes the way you perceive your actions. It changes the way you perceive what you are meant to be doing. Within Fight Club, there are various interpretations of the film, of course, but one of my friends, his alias is Chalk. So in the video called Self-Improvement is Easy in quotation marks, I discussed a few ideas that he presented in an essay of his. And one of these concepts was the concept of self-destruction over self-improvement. And what essentially the difference between the two is that self-destruction is a process of completely breaking down who you are. It is a process of completely letting go of everything that you believed about yourself. Whereas self-improvement is the more popular version, which is to become 1% better every day, which is by picking up small habits. I don't have Atomic Habits on me right now because I've given it to my parents to read, but essentially the book Atomic Habits is about becoming 1% better every day. And you know what? I think being able to become 1% better every day is great. It's it's a way to progressively overload over time in smaller amounts so that it doesn't change your life too much. It doesn't have too much. It doesn't come with a burden, a very big burden. It's like it's almost like you're a boat that is being carried across a river. I don't like the example of boat. Let's say you're a horse or a donkey. This might not seem appropriate, but it's like a donkey carrying, say, 5 kilograms of straw across a certain distance, and then the next month it carries 6 kilograms, and this increases in 1 kilogram increments, and to the donkey it doesn't feel like much because it's just incremental increases over time, and the donkey keeps getting stronger. The donkey gets to build his legs. The donkey improves by 1% every time it must carry the load of the straw. Now, coming back to Fight Club, the narrator, played by Edward Norton, did not go through this 1% better every day type of behavioral change. What this man went through was an incredibly radical change that occurred overnight. This man had to forego his entire identity of who he was. This man had to let go of everything that he perceived himself to be. He was this consumerist insomniac who had an obsession with IKEA. and he turned into Tyler Durden. Spoiler alert. And he turned into a completely different person. He turned into the superlative self. Now, the superlative self is an ideal. It is a version of ourselves that does not exist yet. The superlative self is what we all strive to become. The superlative self is what we all pray to become someday. But we do this on a subconscious level because on a daily basis, we aren't really asking ourselves, what identity do I want to have? We are using the word should. We aren't talking about what identity to have. We're not even talking about why we need to have this identity. We're talking about what it is that we need to do. I should start going to the gym more. I should start talking to people more. I should start working harder. I should start going on runs. We live in a world that is full of shoulds. You tell yourself to should do things every single day. And this, it seems like a very micro issue. And when I've discussed the process of self-change, when I've discussed the process of behavioral change occurs in the most effective way when you are able to change your identity. Now, in an ideal sense, you change your identity first like this, and everything else just comes to you. I gain the identity of an artist and an athlete. I start using these I don't like to say pseudoscience. I don't think that's appropriate for this context, but I start to use these certain techniques that tell me to start manifesting, to start writing down on paper who I am. I am an athlete. I am an artist. I am a genius. I am a businessman. I am an entrepreneur. And in the ideal world, you could write these things and you start behaving like an artist, a businessman. You might not be as proficient as these professions. You might not draw as well as an artist. You might not manage people as well as an entrepreneur. You might not be as jacked as a bodybuilder. But you do the same things that they do. And so therefore, identity multiplied by the time creates the outcome of who you are right now. If your identity is that of an athlete that works out once a day, every single day, for 365 days a year, you will inevitably get jacked. If you are an artist that practices painting or drawing, no matter what your genetic ceiling is, you will eventually reach a point where you are what you claim that you are. You are your identity. Your real world self matches your inner identity. And this is a very idealistic scenario. This is explained in Atomic Habits by James Clear. A lot of behavioral scientists have talked about this process of identity change. And identity change is truly one of the most powerful things you can do while trying to change habits. Because a lot of times we discuss what we should do rather than whom we should become, right? But the problem with creating a brand new identity is that it is an idealistic scenario, and idealistic scenarios are not the same as realistic scenarios. The human brain isn't as simple as being able to be deceived by a few words being written on a page. The human brain is far more complex. The human brain is far more intelligent than that. The human brain can tell when you're bullshitting. Because deep down inside, when you're writing down those letters to yourself, when you're writing down those words that I am an entrepreneur, I am an artist, you know you're lying to yourself. So how does this behavioral change occur? Well, it occurs through the process of taking small steps. The idealistic scenario of self-improvement. The idealistic scenario of getting 1% better every day. Because the thing is that the first step to any kind of change is that you do not break the promises that you make to yourself. And I'll explain this in depth in a little bit. You don't break the promises that you do, and you go ahead and do the things that the ideal self would do. And over time, you will eventually get to a point where you are that person, right? I've said this already. But there's a huge trap here. A trap that is waiting for you. You might not think that it applies to you because a lot of us, we're all narcissistic in some sense. And us, I mean you and me. You as in literally the viewer. You who thinks that you are the exception, that I am referring to a third person. No, you believe you are the exception. That you might not be prone to these things. But the truth is, we're all humans and we all have very similar brain structures. And a lot of times we face consequences of actions that take place within the subconscious. And one of these actions, one of these traps that is waiting for you is the word should. The thing is that when you say you should do something, you are telling yourself 90% of the time when someone says, man, I should do something, I should go on a run tomorrow, and they don't end up doing it. It's just a common theme. It's just a very common theme that I notice amongst so many people, young and old, whatever age. We all know the right thing to do, but we still don't end up doing it. And what's worse is that we tell ourselves that this is the right thing to do. And what I'm trying to get at here is that when I say that I should do something, when I should reach the superlative form of myself, when I should reach the greatest form of Abhik, three things happen. The first one is self-deprecation. When you say I should do something, you are telling yourself that you aren't good enough. Just by saying that you should do something, it insinuates that you aren't the best version of yourself, that you are someone who is below where you should be, where you're supposed to be. You tell yourself that you're not good enough, and it is extremely demotivating. Self-deprecation is, if it's a form of cynicism that the current generation really seems to love. Self-deprecating humor, people laugh at it, it's funny or whatever. I kind of stopped finding it funny. It's not funny anymore for me, because this has real life consequences. Even if you are sarcastic about it, you think you're being sarcastic about it, but simply uttering the words that, man, I can be a loser sometimes, it sends a very deep subconscious signal towards your identity, and it casts a vote for the wrong type of identity. It casts the vote for the identity of a loser. The second thing is that you tell yourself that you aren't doing the things that you're supposed to do. When I say I should do something, it means that I'm telling myself that I'm not being responsible for myself. I'm telling myself that I am an irresponsible person, someone who has more rights than they deserve. I am telling myself that my goals are that my goals are not being achieved. Now, aside from casting the vote to a loser's identity, you also bring up the identity of being a lazy person, someone who's undisciplined, someone who lacks willpower. Even though willpower is a myth, but that is what we tell ourselves on a daily basis. The third thing that using the word should implies is, and this is the most important of all, it makes you a liar. It makes you make promises to yourself and break them, even though you are the only person that you cannot lie to. You and God, you and the divinity of the universe are the only two things that you cannot lie to. Yet you still decide to. And that is a great sin, because what that does, aside from making you feel like a loser, aside from making you feel undisciplined, it makes you a sinner. It makes you someone who feels disgusting about themselves, someone who is truly filthy, a liar, a scumbag, someone who commits the crime of thieving themselves from the truth, even though you know that you literally cannot lie to yourself. It's just not possible. And this kind of ties into a lot of modern self-help, the traps that we've fallen into. There's a lot of traps in the whole self-help community. I do think that it is a net positive, but there's a lot of things that people don't talk about in this. I have a few notes written down here. Self-improvement, this concept of self-improvement or getting better, is essentially a checklist of things that you have to do to get better. You're never told what you're getting better at. You're just being told that you have to get better. What does that mean? The whole process of self-improvement becomes a list of things that other people have set for you to do. You might think that you truly believe in your own goals, and you really don't, because so much of what we align ourselves towards is simply social conditioning that is unnecessary. A lot of us, we like to talk about social conditioning as if it's a bad thing, but a lot of social conditioning is a good thing. But things like other people setting goals for you is simply unnecessary. Being able to run a marathon, be getting up at 5:30 a.m. every single morning is a goal that is set by someone else for you. I think there is a lot of merit in getting up early. I think there is a lot that you can learn from getting up, forcing yourself to get up super early in the morning for 2, 3, 4 months straight, like I did, going on a run, going and running 4, 5 kilometers, coming back, meditating, taking cold showers. There's so many benefits in that. But if your goal isn't to learn, then why the fuck are you doing these things? Why are you telling yourselves that, man, I should do these things, I should take a cold shower? Why? We rarely question why we should be doing these things. It goes back to the whole chart of behavioral change, the who, why, and what diagram. I've discussed this so many damn times. You can't sit around and expect other people to make checklists for you. You can't sit around and allow other people to tell you what you want to do with your life. I could tell you what I think is best for you, but at the end of the day, if you don't want to do that shit, why do it? Why listen to me? What merit is there in my words? Do the shit that makes you feel fulfilled. Do the things that align with your goals, with the things that will make you feel fulfilled the most. And once you reach those goals, you will realize something new, something else that you need to work towards. And start working towards that. Because that's what life is. Life is a constant movement towards goals. That's just how the human brain works. And that's all we can really do. We can simply cater to the human brain. We can just work with it. That is all we have. The solution to the should problem is that doing something, I know I've been talking in a very theoretical, vague sense throughout the length of this video. It's 23 minutes. But I'm going to give you some practical advice, because the whole point of this video is to stop you from saying the word should. It happens on a daily basis. Tell other people that you want to stop saying the word should, especially if you and your friends, if you have a community of people who are trying to get onto good habits. Make sure you discuss this concept and make sure to replace your daily vocabulary, because we genuinely do not understand how much vocabulary influences our daily lives. We just don't understand it. So replace the word should with can. I can do this. I get to do this. The thing is that when you say I can do this, it creates a path for you. When I say I should do this, it's like you kind of know the destination, but you don't really know the road to take. When you say I can do this, it creates a clear path in your mind that, yeah, I will go and do this. Even if you literally do not know how to do it, you are far more likely to figure shit out if you say I can figure out, I can work out 6 days a week. I can find a way to work out 6 days a week. Another word that you could use is I must. I must work out 6 days a week. This is pretty similar to should, but it is far more intense. And I feel like saying the word must is so much, it has a lot more merit to it. It's still not ideal, but it's better than saying should. You could use the term I get to do this thing. And what this does is that it completely changes the way that you look at the situation. You start to look at it from a lens of gratitude. I get to go on this run at 5 in the morning, 5, 6 in the morning. I get to experience the runner's high. I get to challenge my body. I get to feel like a fucking god. I get to feel like I'm flying through the air. And this using the phrase get to, like I said, it creates a sense of gratitude. And this is a completely separate topic, but gratitude, I truly believe, is the best way to find happiness in life and to find appreciation for the things that we have. Because happiness is internal. It isn't something that comes from the situation that we're in. As long as that situation is at or above baseline. And after you've replaced your vocabulary, start finding things that reinforce the identity that you want to build up to. Start by telling yourself that you are good enough just because you are taking the action. Start by making yourself do the things that will get you to the identity that you want to be in. Start by not breaking your own promises. If you make your own promises, your ability to have impulse control will be so much higher. You will be so much more powerful. You will be so much more competitive. You will be so much stronger as an individual. And that's just you getting to the baseline. We haven't even talked about the fact that a lot of what I talk about, a lot of what other people talk about, even the examples that I've given, they reinforce an idea of doing something that is being told by other people to you that this is good. If you find that taking cold showers is good for you, by all means go and do it. If you feel that running, working out, journaling, meditating, working harder, being productive is good for you, then go and do it. But it's so important to filter out the bullshit. If there is something that you know will be beneficial to you in some degree, but you know you're not going to do it, then samne just say it. I'm not going to do this. This is not a priority for me. This doesn't align with my goals. Be blatant about that shit. Be intentful. Be self-convinced. Be integrous. And this will really really, really, really make you value yourself more. Self-love, self-appreciation doesn't start from treating yourself to nice things. It doesn't start from treating yourself to nice materialisms. It starts from being honest to yourself. I think that's all I have to say for today. Pretty long video. Not for my standards. But I hope that other people have something to say about this. I hope, you know, if anything, I hope you disagree with what I have to say, so that you you tell me in the comments, and we can have a discussion about this. We can have a debate about this. If you don't want to reply in the comments, DM me. Please DM me. Every single time I beg for people to DM me, because I feel like it's such a nice way of connecting with someone and sharing ideas. And of course, if you'd like to support the message that I'm trying to spread, the conversation that I'm trying to have, subscribe, like the video, do all of that. It's super late. It's like 2:21 a.m. I haven't stayed up this long in 6 or 7 months. It's crazy. But yeah, I hope this was meaningful to you. If you want me to elaborate, then also DM me. If you disagree with me, DM me, comment, do whatever the fuck you want. I'm gonna go to sleep. Good night.